Solo in the City with Cheryl Besner on News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Welcome back to Solo in the City, and it's time for our Love Table. I love this. I'm going to Love Table instead of Round Table. I think I've dubbed a new thing. And here with me again, Eramelinda Boquer. We're ready to talk more about 18 to 25-year-old dating habits.
I think it's great. I'm so happy to be part of the Love Table, and I'm very excited about our next guest.
I know. So we're welcoming right now Marissa Miller. She's the contributing writer for the New York Times, as well as Vogue, BBC Travel, the Montreal Gazette, Cosmopolitan, and, of course, Teen Vogue. So welcome to the show, Marissa.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And then A.D. Jennings. She's a director and videographer, and she has a short documentary coming out very soon this summer called Skater and Thieves. Welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, ladies. Well, you know, we just had a fantastic guest on the show, and he's actually from the gay community, and he was in a movie called L'amour au temps du numérique that was done by Sophie Lambert. And I happen to have watched that movie, and it was fascinating about how technology is, well, it's kind of screwing up the younger generation for a lot of people. So let's start with you, Marissa. What do you think are the preoccupations with the 18 to 25-year-olds when it comes to dating?
Right now, I think teens are typically doing all they can to avoid spending time in person. There's so much of this courtship that's taking place behind the screens, and, you know, such a real lack of intimacy that I'm seeing for the first time. I mean, when I was in high school, I think Facebook was just starting out, so we weren't really navigating that whole digital space. And so I think people are going through great lengths to avoid each other. But, you know, I would like to give credit to the Netflix and chill, which is kind of this way to lure someone into your lair under the guise of potentially sleeping with them. But at least there, you know, you're getting some FaceTime, you're spending time together, you're bonding over the plot lines if you are, in fact, watching the show. So that pretty much sums it up.
I have to tell you right now, I think Eramelinda and I are looking at each other in studio going, really?
I
don't have kids.
No, well, it's
I actually do have
kids.
kids.
and I have a lot of friends. I mentor a lot of students in my job, and you know, and I've heard this from them. They say it's very difficult. While it's easy to meet people, it's not easy to know people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you think about this, AD?
Well, I think that there's, you know, because everything is done online now, and we're lacking these kind of like even social coping mechanisms of like, how do you act around people in person? I think that a lot of young people may even be a little bit scared to actually go out and meet those people that they've been interacting with online in person. So definitely, I think there might be a little bit of apprehension or a little bit of fear, and they don't really know how to handle having a conversation where you don't have 3-4 minutes to think about what you're going to write and how you're going to respond. So it's completely changed the game.
Well, it's interesting because I have to tell you, when I was 18, most of my friends were already thinking about, you know, what their wedding gowns would look like. I mean, they really were so far there, and we had probably had 1 or 2 boyfriends at the time and long relationships of 2 years. And I see with my kids very different responses, actually. My son, who has been in a long-term relationship since he's 21, and my daughter, who has had relationships, but she's also out there right now. She's 23, and she's trying out all these different dating apps, and she herself is having trouble with that, even though she's from the technological world. So, yeah, I know. So what do you think, for instance, Marissa, like, how has this personally impacted you in your dating world?
Well, for me, I'm not for dating apps just personally because I'm so into the organic meet cutes. But I'm never one to yes, I'm not yum. I think that the mantra is do what feels natural to you, do what is comfortable to you. If it helps you get out of your comfort zone and meeting someone, I'm all for that. But I see what's kind of problematic about it is that people are so worried about kind of matching their dating profiles in real life because our digital presentations of ourselves are sometimes they're false representations. And so, you know, seeing someone for the first time after spending several hours speaking in emojis, which are essentially modern-day hieroglyphs, it's very disconcerting, and it's really difficult for a lot of people.
That's Marissa Miller you're listening to right now, and obviously one of the writers for Teen Vogue, so very up on this. And Darla, I want to get your viewpoint on this. You know, you're involved a lot in this community as well, and through your movie. What do you think about all this, and how does it affect your dating life?
Well, I know why dating apps are used, and I totally understand it, especially in this day and age. We're all so concerned with staying busy and being busy, and we are busy, so that definitely does help those who don't have time to go out and about and meet people and take that chance. However, in my opinion, in my experience, meeting someone online was always a gross misrepresentation of what they were like in person. I found myself more so than not disappointed with the outcome. So like Marissa, I'm 110% a proponent of the old school method of just putting yourself out there, going out, meeting people, approaching strangers, and just really having that human face-to-face relationship and interaction.
Well, you know, our guest earlier, Steve-O, was talking to us, and he was saying that a lot of it to him is insecurity. Do you think that most people out there, the 18 to 25, do you think that there is a lot of insecurity which stops them from approaching people? Maybe that's part of the reason that they're hiding behind these apps is their own insecurities.
Yeah,
I think... Go ahead, Marissa.
Marissa, let's hear from you.
I don't think they even developed a chance to kind of hone those skills of interacting because they grew up in such a digital age. I think they were born into that sort of culture, so approaching people was never part of their language and their culture and their lifestyle. So I don't think we can fault them. I mean, it's kind of just a product of being millennials. And, you know, I don't think we should fight the culture. I think we should embrace it because this is the way that things are moving. But, you know, looking backwards at this generation, it kind of is a little bit depressing to see.
Well, I think, Eramelinda, you know, you and I are from the same generation, and we're both very outgoing, you know, outspoken people. I've never had a problem, but I know a lot of people who do have that problem being as outspoken as AD and just going up to people.
Well, you know, it's interesting because both of you in your careers, you, Marissa, and you, AD, you know, Marissa, you're a writer. You're always meeting people. You're always meeting people and you're always talking to people. And AD, as a director and a videographer, you're always meeting and talking to people. But
and they're communicators.
You're communicators. Mm-hmm. But, you know, as we were mentioning earlier, you know, I spent a career in broadcasting and as a reporter, so I was always meeting people. So I never really found it a problem. But I do remember when chat rooms first came into existence, you know, eons ago. And I remembered, like, you chat with someone, and then when you met them, you were so disappointed because the chatting seemed to be so much fun, but it's all in your head. It's all in your head, right? You're imagining what it's going to be like. And then you meet them, and the image and that person doesn't match the writing.
Well, I'm gonna jump in there and say that I myself have met a lot of people online during my dating career, as I'll refer to it, and I think that one of the things that people can kind of understand is the best thing about dating apps is to use them as an introduction, and then the next thing is, my tip to you all is get off the app. Make a FaceTime. That's the beauty of all the technology we have. You can know who the person is. You can see them. You can know that they are actually who they are presenting themselves to be online. And that can kind of help through this whole thing. And remember, the whole point is to connect with people. So anyway, I want to thank you both, Marissa, for joining us, and AD. Very enlightening, and I'd love to have you both back on the show to talk about many other things about the dating world. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And
thank you both.
Thank you, Marissa. And coming up, we're going to be talking about what's going on in the city and filling you in. You're listening to Solo in the City on CJAD 800.